the iPad mini, the latest addition into Apple's tablet line. And with that, it comes with a long list of expectations. Does it live up to those? Smash that like button and we'll find out. Of course, you don't have to be a genius to find the most obvious difference between the iPad and its bigger brother. It's mini, and as such has a 7.9-inch screen as opposed to the full-size iPad's 9.7-inch screen. The resolution of this display comes in at 1024 by 768, which is exactly the same resolution of the iPad 2. Now, whilst this display is not exactly Retina quality, and we'll come back to that in a little while, it does mean that any application optimised for the iPad 2's display, which pretty much all of them are, it will work flawlessly with this device. Nice work, Apple. The hardware that the iPad mini sports is very similar to the iPhone 5, with an anodised aluminium back, which feels very nice in the hand, especially when using the device two-handed. The iPad is also pretty ridiculously thin, coming in at just 7.2mm, and for comparison's sake, here it is next to an iPhone 5 and an iPhone 4. Yeah. The big thing here is the tablet doesn't feel cheap like so many lower end tablets do. One of the other significant changes is the introduction of the Lightning port on the bottom, along with the new stereo speakers, which perform really well considering the size of the Mini. You'll also notice the departure away from buttons that are a different colour to the rest of the device. For example, here on the black and slate variation, all the buttons and controls are the same colour as the back, and it makes it look seriously slick. One of the issues many people thought would occur, as it may do on the iPhone, was the scratching of the aluminium back. However, I haven't noticed any of my model and have been really impressed so far from the durability standpoint. Of course, the iPad mini is running iOS 6, which is a debatable upgrade. If you're an iOS fan at heart, this really isn't going to bother you, as it won't for the vast majority of people, consumers as opposed to geeks, especially with the app ecosystem available to iPads. However, if you're really looking for customization that Android offers, you might want to look into a more open operating system. The Mini's A5 processor runs the system really smoothly, outperforming the Nexus 7 on Android 4.1 for general usage. This is the huge advantage that iOS has over Android, due to the fact that iOS is a lot less demanding for the hardware that it uses. So Apple was able to use the A5 chip, which is much more battery efficient than faster processors. The battery life here is really stellar, with the iPad easily reaching a day of use, and even a couple with less than solid usage. It also charges significantly quicker than my 3rd gen iPad, which was one of my biggest issues with it. The screen resolution isn't a big issue for me, and the pixel density may be lower than Retina at only 163 ppi, but it's still very much usable display, and going back from the 3rd gen iPad to the Mini hasn't been impossible for me to do, considering the display is actually relatively high quality, with accurate saturation and very good black levels. The iPad mini's here for a reason. The time has come for a reformation of tablets, and this is the first 7-inch tablet that I can actually see myself using on a daily basis. For my workflow, the size works better for me, and I love that the tablet weighs next to nothing. With only the smart cover attached, you have a very highly portable solution to mobile working, and with the huge ecosystem of apps optimised for the tablet, it's one of the best ones out there on the market. Sure, it's not as powerful as the 4th gen iPad, but it runs perfectly well for general use, and even the odd graphically intensive game. People are saying that the iPad mini is a competitor to things like the Nexus 7, but with a $329 price point, $125 more than the Nexus, it isn't really a competitor. It's an upgrade. It really depends on how you feel about iOS, but if you're looking into buying an iPad right now, and you care about the sheer portability and usability, this is the best one to get.